Would you like to reduce your net fleet fuel spend by 10 to 23%? Could you use that money in other areas in your company while reducing your carbon footprint at the same time? Click the link below and learn more. Hey everybody, welcome to Freight Executive Insights. I am Michael Vincent and he is Robert Hall, and he is the Freight Executive with all of the insights, at least, well, maybe not all of them, but he's got some good ones.
Yeah, how you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great, man. He is Regional Vice President of Operations at Buchanan Hauling and Rigging, right?
Correct. Buchanan Logistics, Buchanan Hauling and Rigging. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha. So, hey, I see, what is it? Rock Chalk Jayhawk? Is that what it is?
Rock Chalk Jayhawk. We're a little quiet this time of year, but we'll
you know what? Somebody asked me this weekend, they said, what does Rock Chalk mean? And I said, I haven't the slightest idea. What is Rock Chalk? Where does that come from?
Central Kansas, Western Kansas has the Flint Hills, right? So chalky rock. And when University of Kansas was founded, it was, based on the fact that had a lot of chalk and limestone flint rock. And it was just a term that they picked up at the University of Kansas. It was rock chalk. And the Jayhawk is actually a mix between, a blue jay and a sparrow. So it's a fictitious bird. A lot of people don't think that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it. So it's like a jackalope type of thing, right? It's not really. Well, jackalopes are real, actually. I don't want to destroy anybody's dreams or anything like that, but
no. So it's fun. I didn't go to school at KU, but I played football in Kansas, and it's KU's always been a cornerstone. Playing sports in college and getting into the logistics world was hand in hand. I had no idea that the logistics and trucking, you could have a prosperous career with logistics. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't go to school for it.
That's how most people get stuck in it. No, they go, just come over here and try it out. We'll tell you about it later. And then 18 years later, they're like, son of a gun, I'm still here.
Right. That's exactly how I fell into it. So
that's how most people fell into it, man. Unless they were suckered into it through a family member or something like that, generational, whatever it happens to be. But Buchanan Logistics, let's call it Buchanan Logistics. So what do you guys do, man? Give us the 411. What's going on?
Yeah, so Buchanan, is based from our asset division, Buchanan Hauling and Rigging. Gary Buchanan, Becky Buchanan started the company in 1996. Gary was a single truck driver, single truck, single trailer, and Becky did the back office. And it kind of grew from there. Folks wanted to lease on with Gary. Gary had a lot of good customers of his own, and just as we continued to see customer demand go up, and insurance costs, equipment costs, fuel costs, those types of things come on. A lot of the independent truck drivers, after deregulation in 1996, just jumped over and started signing on with Gary, and that's kind of how we've grown. Our logistics division's been in place for 20 years now. This is our 20th year in business as having a brokerage, a logistics division. So, the two go hand in hand. I mean, the logistics division wouldn't be here without the asset division. And there's many times that our logistics division is feeding our asset side. So we're at about 130 power units right now. We've got dry vans, flatbeds, step decks, multi-axle, specialized trailers, up to 16-axle dual lane perimeter frame trailers, and stretch flatbeds. We have about 1,200 trailers in our pool, and at 10% of that we have trucks for. So allows us to be pretty flexible when it comes to what we're hauling.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that seems to be a great thing to have the trailer only, right? There's power only units as well, but then you have the trailer only is a tremendous asset and provides a lot of flexibility for customers as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got customers that, need 5 or 6 drivers, but they need 20 trailers for a job site. A lot of what we do is construction logistics. We're moving in and out of job sites. We're on wind farms. We're in refineries, and being able to provide customers those trailers. I actually just asked Gary today. I said, "Hey, are we looking to sell any of those trailers?" I've got a customer asking, and he said, "No, we're not selling any of them. We're in it for the long haul.
There you go.
We need those trailers." So it's nice to have what I call skin in the game. There's a lot of 3PLs brokerages, three-letter acronym, XYZ type of brokerages out there that, and I've worked for them before. I know there's a place for them in the marketplace, but when I came to Buchanan, I really wanted to work for a company that had skin in the game. If we're gonna be quote unquote brokering loads, kind of comes with a negative stigma that, oh, you're just a broker. We hear that all the time, and it's really nice to say, actually, we own our own equipment. We've got 4 different yards throughout the United States. We've got 15 offices. We've got our own trucks. We've got our own trailers. We're committed for the long run. It's and they say, oh, okay, well, what are you selling?
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. Because you see these asset-based brokers, and they've got a box truck with an MC number on the side of it that
Right.
never moves from their yard, but they're asset-based, right? But you can show that you're actually doing that work. That lanes a lot of street cred, if you will, because you guys have been there and done that, and it sounds like you guys are, even with your dry van, fairly still specialized, like you said, towards that project work, that construction work, that refurb is what I would say I used to do in a former life where we had those assets and those extra trailers so that we could stage the delivery. Because when you're doing a construction or you're doing a refurb of, commercial real estate or whatever it
Right.
happens to be, specific trucks have to be loaded in a specific order, and those trucks have to arrive in a specific order, right? As the
Yeah.
construction.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, we have a lot of our customers are crane and rigging customers, hence the Buchanan hauling and rigging side of it. We work with a lot of heavy lift companies. We work hand in hand with some of the biggest crane companies in the country. And, the cost to move in a crane and move in a crew to unload one truck every hour is huge. But when you can stockpile, 50 trailers of products sitting on a job site and then bring in the crew and unload all at once, it saves them. Our biggest expense is labor, right? I mean, people. So if you can control that expense for your customers, it's huge. So those sequential deliveries, trucks delivering out of order, because let's be honest, trucking happens, right? You get blown tires, you get drivers that oversleep, you get hours of service issues, you get those things. And, when you can be ahead of the game with extra equipment, it alleviates that pressure a little bit.
So I imagine the brokerage side allows you a lot of flexibility um, to repower, right? Your own stuff when you have those issues, when you have a driver fall out or you have a piece of equipment fall out, you've got this backup, and vice versa. Is that how you guys kind of brought that part of the intermediary or the logistics part into it from that, or did you just see it as a growth model that your customers were demanding?
So, I mean, one of it was customer demand, right? When you provide good service, and that's what we pride ourselves on is good service. We're not going to be the cheapest option. There's going to be cheaper options than us, but we like to think that we're the best service provider when it comes to it. So, with that being said, customer schedules change all the time. And I was not here 20 years ago with Gary and Becky when they started Buchanan Logistics, but from what I've been told, it was a customer demand that they needed us to move more truckloads than we had trucks and drivers, but they wanted to work with us, right? They wanted that one point of contact, that if we put 5 of our own trucks on it and we brokered 5 loads, they still had one point of contact that they could call for all their needs. And that's how we've continued to grow. Obviously, there's the legalese and the requirements that the DOT and FMCSA put on us. And any solid trucking company, that has a brokerage division, we've got to make sure the paperwork's being handed and crossed, and the insurance is right, to make sure that we're brokering the correct way, and that we're not accepting freight as our asset division and then brokering it under the table and saying that we did it with our own assets. So, the legal side of it, the flexibility, the customer demand, then also the pricing. I mean, there are customers that need us in California and Oregon and Washington, and they like working with us. But they're not going to pay thousands of dollars for us to deadhead a truck 1,200 miles to go pick it up, right? So, in order for us to provide them that same service at a competitive price, we have to have a brokerage in order to keep going. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Robert, before we started recording, we talked about it, and you said, you're fairly diverse, right? You the business you have. I'm wondering, is it difficult to keep it that way when you have the rigging side of it and came from that type of environment? How hard is it to really focus and maintain that diversity? Because especially right now, if you're in one particular area, it gets scary when you're looking at things. When I was in a former life, a couple companies ago, when I walked in, it was highly skewed towards the housing market, period. And we worked very, very hard over 4 years to change that dynamic. And thank God we did, because by the time, 2008 and the housing bubble burst, we were diverse enough to survive that. But had we not done that, we'd have been out of business. Is it
Yeah.
difficult with, your expertise on the one side to keep yourself from just kind of falling into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think COVID woke a lot of people up as far as being, niche, right? We only move HVAC units, or we only move paper products, or lumber. Those types of smaller, brokerages or trucking companies that focused on one commodity or one industry, they hurt, right? And then all of a sudden, they're trying to reintroduce themselves to a different industry that already had their mom and pop trucking companies that were right down the street that were also begging for work, right? So, a lot of our diversity within the types of products that we haul really kind of focus on, how we can offer the same service, right? So whether it's oversized and it's permitted and you've got police, or it's just dock to dock, we have to make sure that we're spread across all modes per se, through our dry vans, our flatbeds, and our heavy haul. I always tell people a good book of business is like a cake, right? You've got 90% of the cake it's just bread, right? It's by itself, it's not great. And you will get full eating the $50 profitable dock to dock type work, right? But it makes up 90% of your book of business. And then you've got the 9% that's the icing, right? It tastes really good. You make good money on these customers. They're really good to get along with. But if you just ate the icing, you'd be sick and not full, right? And then you've got those one customers that I call the sprinkles, right? That you just go on top, and there's not a lot of them. You treat them with extra care and white gloves to get it done. But if you only chase the sprinkles and that high profitable work and the customers that just you want to invite over to your barbecues, there's not that many of them out there, and you got to treat them like gold. But the whole package, the icing, the cake, and the sprinkles, that's what makes up a good book of business. And that's what we try to focus on, is being diverse and focusing on the big picture, and not getting greedy, not being inundated with a lot of busy type of work that doesn't make us any money or keep our drivers happy. You've got to keep it diverse.
That is, I absolutely love it. In all my years and all my interviews, I've never had anybody say trucking is like cake. But it's a great analogy. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. I mean, the thoughts behind it are absolutely sound. I wonder how that applies as we're going into this fall, right? I mean, this seasonality of freight, obviously you've been in freight long enough to know that winter comes every year. But every 4 years, the winter's a little bit different
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
of the obvious that is happening, and a port strike, possibly on the East Coast port strike, sitting on top of it. And, um, you know,
Yeah. I
fairly
mean,
diverse economics happening right now. What's going down, man? How you guys looking at this?
it took us 15 minutes and we're into politics. I get it.
Right, no. I'm not getting into politics, but the politics, they screw this up. Right? I'm not asking you who you're voting for.
Absolutely. No. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the way that the economy changes I would say every 3 years, because usually there's a year before the election or a year after the election that everybody's kind of holding on to their money and
Yeah,
sitting
that's right.
tight. So,
Yep.
the thing that we focused on with what I would call the construction logistics side of it is we try to partner with customers that they have contracts with government agencies, right? They're working with green power and solar and wind and a lot of the stuff that the government is funding through grants and that sort of stuff. But then they also work with private money, right? So hotel construction, so whether it's blue or red in the office in November, you've either got government spending money on infrastructure and schools and green initiatives and those types of things, or it switches and it becomes more private money, right? So you've got more investments in oil and you've got more investments in hotels, casinos, water parks, so as the tides shift from red to blue, a lot of our customers are diverse in the fact that, regardless of who's paying for it, things are still getting built, things are still moving, and we try to maintain a positive outlook on what we can offer to them. But the only thing that we can control really in this whole trucking game is the communication, right? So if we're communicating with our customers proactively and asking them, what are you seeing? What are you working on? What are you working on for next year? What do your contracts look like, in 12 months from now? We can properly plan on our side, right? If we're just simply reactive and waiting for the phone to ring or waiting for an email for a quote request to come across, then we're just an order taker and we're just, we might as well just ask them if they'd like fries with that. Cause, we're just waiting for the phone to ring. A true sales organization, we're partnering with our customers and asking them, what do they need from us next year, right? What can we do for them next year? What are their customers asking of them for the next year? And I mean, that's the best thing we could do is just stay involved with our customers and not be there to receive whatever they're throwing at us, but be on the same team and in the same huddle and helping them make good decisions for their company and their customers.
Yeah, I mean it's going beyond even just understanding their business today, but understanding where they see it going and where they're trying to go in the future, and being that true partner to carry out that strategy or that 100-yard drive for the win, right?
Absolutely. I didn't, I thought you were going to go with a Mahomes analogy there I'm from Kansas City, but
Well, I was going to go that way, but that seems to be political these days too, man. I don't understand
we'll take it. I lived through the Steve DeBerg and Romeo Crennel days as a Chiefs fan. I deserve this.
Okay. So you're not just there for Taylor Swift. You're there for the real football.
No, it's kind of funny you said that. I was in a store the other day and a guy was wearing a 89 Taylor jersey, and one of the girls behind him said, "Oh my gosh, I like your jersey. I've seen a lot of 87 Taylor jerseys, but I've never seen an 89." And this guy's probably in his 70s, turned around and said, "It's Otis Taylor."
Yeah,
And, and yeah, he was pretty offended by it, and I thought it was comical on both sides. But
that is pretty comical.
there's still a lot of us Chiefs fans that we lived through the J.J. Burdens and
You earned it. You earned the
the Nick
jerseys.
Lowry's. Nick Lowry's our best kicker of all time. But man, those teams he was playing for were tough to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marty
You,
Ball.
you, you've earned the stripes, my friend. You earned the stripes. Well, I'm a Chiefs fan. My wife's a Chiefs fan. I'm a Mahomes fan myself. I
Nice.
think the dude's pretty fantastic. And hey, go Chiefs! I was watching the first game, man. Took care of, and the dude's toe was out, man. I mean, that was an unbelievable play. When I saw that toe go down, I was like, man, a half the size of a shoe, smaller, and they win that game. But hey, it comes down to that, right?
I think Mahomes said he should have worn white shoes.
That, exactly. If he wore white shoes, he probably would have
You
been.
never know.
You never know. You never know. Anyways, dude, it's been a pleasure, my friend. And
Thank you. Thank you for having
where
me.
are people going, man? At Buchanan, what is it, .com or where they go to get you guys on the business you need?
BuchananHauling.com, BuchananLogistics.com. Yeah, they'll both take you to the right spot. And we're we're growing, man. I mean, it's been I've been with Buchanan for 4 years, the Kansas City office, and like I said, we've got offices from Massachusetts all the way out to Phoenix. So whether your listeners are East Coast or West Coast, we're hiring for sales folks, we're hiring for drivers, we're hiring for admin. I mean, it's a good company, a good family owned company. The family's still very much involved. Gary is working with customers. I think he's up to, I won't say his true age, but he's north of 70. And man, he's still shooting off emails at 1 a.m. Hey, can we get a load for this guy? He's going to be delivering tomorrow. And, it really resonates throughout the entire organization that we're all in this together. And, it may say Buchanan on the side of the trucks, but, as long as all of us are thinking and acting like an owner, we'll be able to provide good things for a long time.
Yeah, it's awesome. It sounds like he's one of those rare that don't forget where he came from. He was driving that truck, so he understands, man. Somebody needs to pay attention, even at 1 o'clock in the morning, keep them happy and keep them rolling. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And hey, peace and love, Robert.
Same to you, man. Cheers.